background of who we are. AgriLogic Consulting is a company I work for. Originally formed in '92, doing a lot of large-scale econometric modeling, price forecasting, commodity organizations, farm-related stuff, and also did a lot of work with farm pressure banks across the country. Started by a professor out of the Economics Department at Texas A&M, and one of his grad students. 2001, we got heavily involved in the crop insurance program development, and since then we've done about 40 different insurance programs for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. AgriLogic Consulting, I run that side of the company. I got Bill Smith here with us today as well, your lead underwriter. He worked for RMA for about 30 years, and then has been working with us the past 8 after he retired from them. There's also an insurance company side of the equation, but today that's not what we're here as in the capacity as the insurance company writes about 32 states across the country. As I mentioned, this is the AgriLogic Consulting project, and any thing we talk about here today, this is kind of the draft format. We've done some other tree crops, and wanted to get a gauge on what the needs are of the pecan industry, and then we'll obviously customize the program for that particular structure. The picture up here, I know I have nothing to do with pecans, but that's actually, I'm actually originally from northwestern Tennessee. Been 6th generation farmer, and that's actually my son sitting in one of our center prison wheels there. A little background as far as the tree crops that we've dealt with. We actually did a project. It was a feasibility study evaluation for RMA back in 2004 that was looking at the placement of a lot of perennial crops, which included pecans, apples, grapes, like pears, these and grapes was a major concern, blueberries, caneberries, and citrus. We did a feasibility study on Hawaii, tropical fruits. They encompassed about 12 crops. In 2002, and actually developed and implemented programs for coffee, banana, and papaya for both the yield and the tree insurance policies. We went in and revamped, totally redesigned the Florida fruit tree policy in 2005. Since then, the participation has enhanced significantly, and they got a lot more cheaper programs they had as far as cost-wise now, with a lot better coverage. And we actually just, as a result of what we did in Florida, the Texas Citrus Mutual, which is the growers organization down there, came to us in 2009 time period. We wanted to come in and do the same thing with their program. So we completed that implementation in 2012, and after just this winter, we went in and updated the Hawaii program for RMA. So essentially, any program that's out there tree-wise, we've had some dealings with either going in and reworking the program or developing to begin with for everything except macadamia nut trees in Hawaii. We plan to work with, when we get into any of these commodities, we want to work closely with the growers' organizations to make sure that we are putting the program where it's wanted, and also customizing it to meet the real characteristics and needs of the industry. And this is just a list of some of the ones that we visit with and plan to work with throughout the process. Of course, y'all have a pecan revenue insurance program currently that essentially covers your nut production. What we're talking about today is a tree insurance program, and what that equates to is if you have an 80-year-old pecan tree out there and you have a hurricane come in and takes it out, it's the cost to remove that tree is what you're insuring, and replace that tree with another tree, and the cost to get it up and going again. That's the base portion of the policy. Then there's also some options you can add on to that we've first introduced in Florida that have been very popular. That now enables you to insure part of that tree as a business asset, that lost revenue stream, what it takes to get, you got a mature tree that was knocked out, what it takes that replacement tree to get up and meet that production capability. We'll look at that here in a little bit more in a moment. Just some of the instances that sparked our interest in this. Mr. Lane from Georgia had noted several instances in their area that in the past for tornadoes and some hurricanes that had caused significant damage. Dr. Rolla had pointed out several instances in Oklahoma from particularly severe ice storms, and I know throughout the southeast you've had issues with hurricanes, and in Texas and far west droughts are a major concern. The base tree policy, as I mentioned, is essentially it's a dollar amount that you insure up front. That dollar amount is reflective of what it takes to put a new tree in and remove the old tree. So essentially, you have an 80-year-old tree there, you could insure it for more than you could insure a 5 or 6-year-old tree, because the cost to remove that that large tree, when it is destroyed by a hurricane or something, is much more. You can insure in brackets of 5%, between 50 and 75%, and this is just kind of the general structure we're bringing over from what we did on the other tree program, but this is something that we want to certainly customize to what best fits y'all's needs. Optional coverage that you can elect on top of the base tree coverage that was actually available in Florida, Texas, and Hawaii. The first one is the comprehensive tree value endorsement, which that is essentially add-on coverage for that future stream of expected revenue you receive off that nut production. So let's say a mature tree that's knocked out, it's going to take 12 years or more to get a replacement tree back up into that production capability. We essentially take a discounted stream of future expected income off that to ensure that value, and then the current loss option that just modifies the way that the insurance works. And what we have here, this is a graphic that's trying to demonstrate what we're talking about. So let's say you have a mature tree that is knocked out from a hurricane, and you're zero here. Your pecan revenue program that you currently have covers your nut production for that 1 year. But you put a replacement tree in, and it takes, let's say, 12 years to get back into a full production capability. You're essentially exposed on, one, obviously the cost it takes to remove that tree that was damaged and put a new one in its place. The base tree policy we're talking about would offer coverage for that. And then the other piece that's an optional coverage if you would like to add it on. Essentially, once you replace that tree, you get several years in the process for your getting nut production off of it. We're just trying to demonstrate here by this kind of this purple triangle is the amount of income that you're receiving off that. So obviously it's significantly less in the earlier years versus when you get to mature tree production capability, you're back making a full crop, which you would otherwise. This void that you would have lost from that is what we're talking about insuring the comprehensive tree value endorsement. Essentially, it's a discounted stream of future expected income off that net present value, and that's the dollar amount to insure that varies by county. The base tree policy, the proposed program, obviously the base policy, which you can insure, represents the cost to remove that dead tree and replace it or rehabilitate it. So meaning what we have in Hawaii and in other areas, it costs about the same to go in and buckle a tree in many instances, meaning you cut it back to a stump and let it regenerate, as it does to go in and totally remove it. So essentially, we make a full payment when it's 100% damage. In Florida, we have partial damage, where you can have graduated amounts of the actual total value of the tree paid out, depending on the severity of damage. Hawaii, we ended up doing it was all or nothing. That's what made sense there. Pecan, it's something we want to have feedback from growers on what would best meet their needs. Obviously, the more you cut out the partial damage coverage, the cheaper the program is. Just to give you a feel for what the program costs, like in Florida, where we have coverage for a tree that costs about 1.5% before the premium subsidy that takes it down to about 85 cents, 165% coverage level. And the components of that Florida rate, essentially about 2/3 of it is associated with freeze damage and about 1/3 of it is associated with hurricane. So obviously with pecan tree, freeze is a little concern in the southeast. So you're talking about a very, very small rate, and the total cost is well under $1, well under $1 per $100 insured. The tree reference prices for the base coverage are essentially will be characterized on how old the tree is. A very young tree, you would insure it for essentially what it costs to put a new tree in, versus a mature tree. You have a lot of costs built in there, what it costs to remove that mature tree out of the grove and get everything set up ready to go again. The optional coverage, the comprehensive tree value endorsement, essentially provides a net present value of your future expected nut production, and then it essentially looks at what it's also broken out on the stage requirement. It only is available on some of the later stages of the tree when you actually have something that's up and producing. Another optional coverage is the occurrence loss option. What this is about is the program originally structured in Florida and Texas. The base coverage looks like an optional unit. So let's say you've got 40 acres of pecans. The way the base coverage is structured is, let's envision this whole square, this whole block right here as the value of that pecan orchard. The way the original program was structured, you had to run through, if you had 75% coverage level, 25% of that unit's value before you got anything paid on that as a result of the loss. Once you exceeded that, it paid for every dime thereafter. A thing that we had added into the Florida program that was optional coverage was the capability to modify how that deductible works. Meaning, instead of a deductible, it's more switches to more like a copay. It takes the deductible from on the top here, meaning you have to burn through a whole 25% deductible before you start getting paid. It puts a minimum loss requirement that's essentially 5%, what it was set in Florida, right above the normal attrition rate, which is the normal rate you expect to lose trees anyway. In Hawaii, we set it much lower, we set it 3% in Hawaii. And essentially what it does is it takes it from having to burn that 25% deductible, 75% coverage level, to only having to have a 5% loss in the value of the insurable unit. Once you have that 5% loss that's above that normal attrition rate, that goes away, and you get paid for the first tree to the last tree at 75% of the tree value, or whatever coverage level you selected. This is something that's actually been very, very popular in Florida. What you see is a lot of growers select lower coverage levels, which have a lot higher subsidies associated with those, but they have coverage that kicks in very early with a small portion of their growth being impacted. Perils being considered, obviously wind or tornado damage along the southeast is a significant concern. That's a primary peril that we obviously cover in that area. Freeze is an issue in Oklahoma, and drought is a major concern when you get out west in Texas and in further areas. They have some significant loss out there. Obviously, one of the primary challenges with the drought component is putting a sufficient pre-inspection requirements in to basically go in and make sure that before you attach coverage on something, you know it's not something that had drought 2 years before or last year, that they think the trees, know the trees will die anyway before they put coverage on it. So there's some significant underwriting guidelines we're going to have to try to put in place to mitigate any exposure to that. Just a quick timeline. We're having listening sessions across the country in June and July of this year. We plan to submit and develop a program by January of next year. Probably the way the process works is once we develop something, we submit it to the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation Board of Directors. They send it out to expert review. It comes back and we respond to those comments and make any final modifications. Realistically, you're probably looking at 2015 crop year at the earliest. It's something that will be in place, but more likely looking at 2016, because once you get something approved, it sometimes takes USDA a while to actually get it implemented in all the processes. Thank y'all for y'all's time. Contact information is up there, and we actually had a bunch of questions. We go through our normal listening sessions, getting feedback from the area, but we appreciate time, and we would cut all that out today. If y'all have anything that y'all would like to ask in particular, or any questions about what we talked about? All right, well, thank y'all so much.
We're going to switch gears a little bit here. Our next speaker is with USDA in New Orleans, Chris Madison. He's going to be coming and talking. I know yesterday when we were at our field day, we were talking about that we need to try and maybe get a little